And you mentioned 111. And as we know, there's one more symbol that is quite prevalent when we experience our awakening. Doesn't matter what type of awakening. And that is the blue rose that I'm wearing today. And what is the
Yes.
meaning of blue rose? We've all experienced it. And, it's very personal. You experience it in random ways. But once you see it, it becomes part of your consciousness. Once again, it's integrated, it's installed.
Yep, the blue rose is a magical symbol. And I'm just going to share my belief about the blue rose, that at the end of Lemuria, there was a knowing that everything we experienced, all the wisdom we had gained in all the generations of Lemurian evolution, we knew that that wisdom and knowledge would be useful at some time in the future. With this awareness, we knew that time wasn't linear. Time is really just all existing here and now. Right? Everything exists now. So in Lemuria, we knew that, okay, there was going to be a denser third dimensional evolutionary process in the future. And so let's send some symbols into the future to assist in that process, that spiritual awakening that's going to be happening in a completely different environment. And so there was a council of beings that sent forth keywords or symbols like Lemuria, like 1111, like the blue rose. These were all sent on purpose, and here we are experiencing these symbols, and for many of us it's triggering awakening. The blue rose is magical. It's a multidimensional symbol that represents Lemurian wisdom, Lemurian love, that concept of know thyself, that it really is a journey of your own personal evolution, regardless of what dimension you're in, what reality, what star system. It's always a personal journey. So that blue rose is truly a symbol of your own personal evolution, as well as a strong connection to the Lemurian wisdom. And you can imagine it as an ever blossoming rose. It's like there's never an end point. It's just more petals will continue to unfold. So for many people who've connected with the blue rose and they have no idea why, or the number 1111, or the word Lemuria, these are all potent symbols that are assisting the evolution of human consciousness, even though they seem to be very small. So yeah, I applaud you for finding a
found me.
That's beautiful. Well, it found you, right? It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's when I discovered the blue rose, it was earlier this year, and I was guided to put it on my phone wallpaper and to watch it for a couple of months. And I didn't think twice about it because my whole life has been like this. The resources will come to me. I wouldn't think about why are they coming. I would just take the steps, learn the lessons, read the books, watch the shows, have the conversations. But the blue rose just kept recurring as a theme. And it seems to have some connection, I would say, to the awakening of the divine feminine, which is the protector, the nurturer. It has this connection to the healing. And it's been a huge theme. And one of the biggest downloads that I had was the movie Titanic, and how the diamond that was lost was the blue sapphire. And there is a link to Rose from Titanic. So the rose that had the blue diamond, and there is some sort of connection to water once again, because Titanic is the story of drowning in our emotions, perhaps, or drowning in the coldness, or allowing our emotions to become so disconnected from us that we feel like we're drowning, the subconscious mind. And I think we're all experiencing this massive return to our emotions and to becoming our most loving selves, because the change that we want to see out in the world starts with us. And I think some of us have been turned to stone over the years in terms of our connection to our emotions. We've experienced such a lack of love, and others have experienced the opposite. They've experienced so much of the wrong kind of love that now they're just running wild. So I think there's this balance. And I think the biggest figure to bring that balance is the divine feminine, because that is the mother. We call Mother Gaia as well, Mother Earth. But I think we've all experienced this lack of nurturing love into our human experience. And I think that is the biggest shift. We're going to continue to receive downloads, but there is some strong connection that creative people have channeled in movies, in books regarding the blue rose, and it might not come with the visual of blue rose. It might come with blue sapphires. It might come with blue other visuals, blue different types of flowers. But I think all creative people are connected to source, and they have channeled these messages for us to find now, because now is the time for us to interpret them, as you mentioned. It's our higher selves have left these pieces for us to recover now, because now is the time. It's quite beautiful.
It is beautiful. I'm so glad you mentioned the divine feminine, because that's essentially how you would describe Lemurian society, is that it was based in divine love. Lemuria was guided by Lemurian goddesses through the goddess temples. And so the divine feminine is awakening worldwide to help us reconnect with that heart-centered divine love, that way of being that is transcendent of duality. That was a huge part of Lemurian consciousness, and that's one reason we're bringing it back in to this current reality, because the divine feminine is what is going to allow us to shift our consciousness.
Yeah, and I've got the visual of the bees, the queen bee, and the idea of creating this community, this legacy that is powered by, good intentions and providing for the colony. But I think there's a slight shift that we're experiencing in this ascension. It's that we're moving from the idea of working all the time, like the tired bees that are always working, to being, to allowing our authenticity to shine through and connecting through just emanating our energy, because we're very powerful beings, and now is the time to release more of that authentic energy. The one question that I have for you that is probably not connected, or maybe it is connected in some ways: where is the divine masculine? We keep talking about the rise of the divine feminine, but where is the divine masculine, and why haven't we investigated a little bit or spend more time on the divine masculine? Because somebody needs to be the protector of the divine feminine.
Right. And there is a role for the divine masculine. So this is a tricky thing, and I think it's a little, sometimes it's even challenging for me to get my third dimensional thoughts around this concept. But divine feminine, in its purest sense, is about balance. It's not about overpowering or being dominant. It is about balance. So for me, the divine masculine is part of that balance, but it's the divine feminine that is, in a sense, the root or the backbone, the source of creation, in that it exists beyond duality. So we think about divine feminine, divine masculine usually in a dualistic sense. Well, they have to be equal. It's like, no, one is part of the other. Mm-hmm. There's balance within the system. So if you let go of the polarity notion and think about, okay, it's more of a real balance based on divine feminine, it starts to feel, for me, it feels a little bit more natural. As I imagine, and I work with beings in meditation, channeling and so forth, beings beyond the third dimension, I have found that anything from the fifth dimension upwards is essentially divine feminine. Once you get to the fifth dimension and beyond, there's no more duality or polarity. So it's just, that's what the universe is. That's what all sorts of beings exist in, because that's the source of creation. Love is the source of creation. The divine masculine, in the human sense, has its role to help balance and provide another function, but it really is, for me, not about balancing opposites. Does that make sense?
I think so. But I'm still
trying to. I can feel it inside. I haven't quite found the way to articulate it in the best way.
And maybe that is the lesson. Maybe that is the next, assignment for all of us that are here, to connect a little bit more with the divine masculine, figure out where is that energy and what's the function of that energy, because we've spent a lot of time kind of connecting and discussing the divine feminine in the last few years, and we're going to continue to, because more of us are being asked to connect with that energy so that we can be more nurturing, more loving in our own lives, in our own communities. And the way that the divine masculine energy has presented itself in my research, it's that leadership, that empowerment of others, but there is a sense of lack of identity when it comes to the energy of the divine masculine. And I think maybe that is the next phase of this ascension, that we're meant to unlock some of the puzzle pieces and some of the symbolism around that divine masculine.
And it's very possible that having a strong separate identity is not necessary. Here in the third dimension, the dual, the polarities of masculine, feminine, good and evil, nurturing, active, all those opposites have played a role, but we'll see. I'm not sure we're meant to carry on the opposites as we evolve to higher dimensions, but that's part of the journey here, and why we're having these kind of conversations is just we're moving thought forward a step at a time.
This is just the beginning of us connecting all the pieces, because I think we're still channeling them, we're still making sense of them. And once we put the puzzle together, it's going to be a brand new world. And it's not going to be just visible, we're going to be actively in it, of it, and co-creating it with the universe. So what a time to be alive.
Yeah, this is an exciting time to be alive, and we all chose to be here for this reason, because this is an exciting time in the story of human evolution. So it is fun. This is a great time to be here.
What would you say to someone that comes across this episode and they're wondering what the next step of their search for more meaning should be, or maybe how can they connect more with the blue rose?
Specifically the blue rose, if you feel comfortable, just get into a quiet meditative state. It just means close your eyes and take a few breaths and just picture a blue rose. And if you feel comfortable, invite that blue rose to merge with your heart. It's a very simple process, but this is something that can really have an effect. It's like planting a seed in your own heart that will unfold over the next few months or even years. Just that act of bringing the blue rose into you and feeling it merge and start to have an effect on the way you think, the way you connect with the world around you. I just think trust. This is not a problem to be solved. Your awakening, your ascension is not looking for a solution. You just need to follow your path. Stella, as you've mentioned, several times, that you've just followed the next step, the next inspiration, the next idea. That's the best you can do. Don't go looking for answers, because you're just putting a lot of effort into something that can come to you naturally in the right timing. So just set your intent to be open, to receive, and be aware. Notice what you notice. Let the universe, let the higher self guide you step by step. That's the journey. You don't need to know exactly where you're going or why. Just learn to trust the steps as they come.
This is not a problem to be solved. This is a next chapter of your life to be experienced. Think
exactly.
When you mentioned invite the rose to merge with your heart, I got this visual of the inner child kind of being revealed once the blue rose opens. So maybe the blue rose, when it appears in your life, it's the next phase of your inner child healing. It's the nurturing presence that your human experience so far couldn't provide to you in the 3D world. So you're being given some assistance from the higher dimensions.
I'm so glad you tapped into that, Stella, because it does have that effect. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting a little teary because you tapped into the essence of it. It really gets to the core of who you are.
Yeah, because your inner child is your soul that was kind of trapped into the 3D world, and now you're breaking free and you're allowing maybe the dragons to help you, maybe the angels, maybe the Lemurian ancestors who are watching you from far away and cheering you, because they understand that you've already achieved so much on your journey and you're just understanding it now. You're just wrapping your head around it, because I think we can never fully understand what love is because we're not meant to. We're meant to experience it. We're meant to embody it. And a lot of us are now learning how to trust and lead our lives with our intuition, with our heart. And the world that we're about to see in 2024, I think it's going to be a more beautiful place. 12 months from today, I think we're going to be in a much more united world. And I set that intention out.
Yeah. So much of what we've gone through, especially in the last 6 months, is preparing us for a big year. It's just... My guides keep saying it's going to be big. There's going to be lots of expansion, a lot of change that you, in a way, you didn't see coming, but it's going to be a beautiful year.
Are you tired of small talk? Me too. How do we channel spirit messages? What can angels and demons teach us? What's quantum leaping? How do we shift timelines? Who are the star seeds among us? Are dragons real? Big Souls brings big ideas down to earth. Let's plant some abundant seeds into the garden of your mind. Join the big talk.